Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second version of the webinar on how to build up your horse's top line with lunging training. And I'm excited to share a bit more information today about this exciting topic. So let's see what we got today. First of all, I want to give you guys a warm welcome. My name is Sue. I'm one of the lunging training coaches. So lunging training is a collaborative platform of multiple experts that shares the knowledge about lunging as a cross training and how to do it. And about myself, I grew up more around Baroque horses or classical dressage. We had like Andalusians and Frisians for me growing up, and I have over about 20 years experience in teaching equestrian vaulting, where lunging is a very important foundation. And alongside, I really became a lunging enthusiast, and I've seen amazing results what all lunging can do when applied as a cross training. For example, also in how to build up your horse's top line. If you have not heard about lunging training before, check out our website. There's a lot of great information. There's free resources. Every week there's a new blog post about a topic. We have different courses that we offer, starting from just like a 1 hour refresher on lunging training up to like a very detailed master class. And that being said, we actually want to place a quick save the date. Um, our new program is coming up, the Auto Lunging Scholar program, starting June 1st. And this is a really nice format in the manner that you will be in a group with other scholars. You're going to work through some material yourself, and then there will be also group coaching calls. So save the date on that. There's more information available on this little bit.ly, which I can also put in the chat later. All right, let's get right into it about the topic and how to build up your horse's top line. In this picture, you see this really neat top line of this halflinger, which is part of it also well fed, so good food for the horse and a good training. So let's go into how you can get there with your horse as well. And let's start with some really basics on how to build up really muscle in general. So we have participants of the courses or people reaching out that are frustrated and are like, I'm really trying to build up more muscle for my horse in the top line or activate more the hind end. And I feel like we have the right training and it's not quite working. So there's two things I refer to as first is the saddle fit. Second one is have you guys actually taken a look at the nutrition that the horse gets? And each horse is so specific and different in that manner and how it reacts to it. And as a basis, I just want to trigger a few things to know that are needed to build up muscle. So protein is a very important one. Horses needs that as humans do to build up muscles. Hay can be an important feed for that. However, it really varies about the cut of the hay. Is it from the beginning of the season, late of the season? There's alfalfa in it. There's so many different versions of hay to get by now. So that is an important one and can help to have the right protein. Obviously, there is a huge variation of grain and combinations, even food that's called build up top line that you can give your feed. And it's about educating yourself about what is needed. There's also nutritionists you could talk to, and at the end of the day, it's really finding the right balance for your horse, which is a balancing act. Something to take into consideration. Recently, I have done some more research about really amino acids and what it means. What's like a well balanced amino acid profile. So something I highly recommend to look into to then have your training also be successful. Getting into the points of the training, really the main one I'm preaching for top line is to work your horse long and low. That can be under saddle, that can be on the lunge line. This photo kind of represents the horse being worked long and low on the lunge line with the help of side reins. What it really means is to give the horse a chance to bend and stretch without having the weight of the rider on its back when you do it. So lunging training. So it has, when it like contracts and loosens the muscle, there's not an additional weight of it. So that's why I'm a big fan of not only riding, but also adding that lunging training. And then the long neck and back muscle band, really, it kind of goes from the tail to the ears. It's all one long muscle that has a lot of opportunity to really tighten up, needs to be flexed. It needs to be stretched to then actually be able to have the chance to lift up and build up that muscle. So short and stiff muscles need to be extended and get flexible again, which then helps the muscle tissue to get to the needed metabolism that it needs to build up that muscle. So long and low, first foundational tip. Next one really is to build that muscle through transitions. Same coming down on the writing, and I'll focus today on how to do that on the lunge line. So transitions from trot and canter are really one of the most beneficial ones for that and have multiple benefits to build up the horse's top line. First, it really loosens and relaxes the muscle. In the two gaits, really the muscle are having to act very differently. So when trotting, the muscle on the right and left side of the back kind of alternately tense, while in the canter, the contraction takes place almost simultaneously. So when you do these transitions, you trigger these two different behaviors really off the muscle of like um, contracting and stretching. So the different strain on the muscle forces the horse to let go in the back actually during this transition. I also like to include fairly early a canter in the workout with the horse when we just kind of open up that spine and open up that muscle through that transition. And this doesn't need to be done until the horse is tired. We're really talking about short sequences. The example here, this is a picture from a book, is to, for example, start on like your A point in the arena in a good, steady, rhythmical trot. Actually transition or like shift the circle to the middle. Now ask the horse for exactly one round of canter and go back to trot. So we're talking about short sequences of like half round of canter, maybe a round of canter and a round of trot, or 1.5 rounds, or and work with your horse to be really pointed on transitioning when you actually ask for it. Our next tip is to include lateral work and bending. If you want to actually strengthen your horse's back, you should ride less straight, and instead lateral work and bend are in kind of really help it really early on to be included, which you can perfectly do during lunge line. Like you can trigger the hind end a little bit through like a circle in, circle out, and ask him to cross. You can ask for a shoulder in at hand. So why is this actually really good to include for the horse to ask it to cross its legs? If you combine lateral work and bending, you stretch and strengthen your horses from the shoulder to the bottom. When the horse crosses his legs, the whole body really benefits. Because lateral steps make the shoulder muscles supple, this promotes shoulder freedom. And you need all of those muscles to then transition back to help build up those back muscles. So loose and strong shoulder muscles, on the other hand, can then raise the withers better, and this prevents the back from sagging. Here comes your increase of better back muscle and top line. Here's an example. It's actually my sister working with her horse, bringing the haunches in. So it's a great example on how to do some of the lateral work and how this really strengthens the back. If the horse steps sideways and crosses the leg, it stretches the croup muscle. Because these are connected to the back muscle, they also have to relax. So again, we'll go back to this contraction and release idea of it. So having them cross in hand, therefore prepares the back for riding training. So something you really great also include the circle. Kind of explained that earlier. Pole work is one that has been preached quite a bit, and I want to underline that it really is a great form how this strengthens from head to toe. The horse really has to lift up its legs higher over the poles and floor rakes, and it activates the muscles in the head and shoulders and abdomen. So talking about the abdomen, the belly, really the belly muscle is the opposite of the back muscle. So one doesn't go without the other. Only if the belly muscle gets strong, it can help to raise that back muscle. So think about how to work the belly, and pole work is a great one where the horse really has to bring up that belly and lift up the legs to move forward. So having a mix of all these different exercises is really what makes it work. Here today I want to share a quick story of Andalusian gelding named Ecuador. He's now 15 years. I started working with him last fall, actually late in November. He's 14 at that point. And he had been a very happy pasture ornament for about 2 years and hadn't really worked much. Eventually performed on second level dressage. And when I looked at him first, I was wondering, really what can we do with lunging training. So I want to share a bit about the story here. So these are pictures when we met him first. His back was visibly kind of sunk down. Um, there were not much top line left. The saddle actually wasn't quite fitting great anymore. And he had a really nice hay belly. But also, if you look here, kind of seeing the triangle on the croup, they're just wearing the muscle or also the body fat at the spots where you wanted them. And he struggled, then also carrying the rider's weight. So I started off actually, and then this is the picture of him a few weeks later, after a few months, after doing a great work through lunging training and adjusting his food. So how do we get from this picture to here? I want to share a few points on how we created a personalized training plan for Ecuador and kind of as an example on how we do this in the courses. First, we do an assessment with every participant on where the horses is at, what's the current status of, where's the muscle buildup, how is the rhythm, what does every participant want to work on. For him, it was clearly building up top line. And we decided actually take a step away from riding and really only focus 2 months on lunging and in-hand work and figuring out the feed before actually going back to riding. And that already helped to work on great rhythm, on relaxation, and we were able to trigger two transitions to build up that muscle. And now the lunging training is more like complementary to the riding, and he's actually even going vaulting with us. So what we improved through lunging training is lots of transitions, focus on the first two levels of the pyramid of training. Actually going to go a little bit in detail of those. And which is suppleness and relaxation, and what it pole work, which was very new to him and was very fun to introduce to. In addition, increased protein and amino acid, which was a bit of a balancing act with him. He also has a known vitamin E deficiency, much more common than many people think, especially in the Midwest, here in the US. So something interesting if you have trouble to build that muscle to test for. That's fairly easy manageable to supplements. And we gave them also dewormers, another one I see people say I can't get muscle on. I'm like, have you dewormed your horse in a while? So good things to keep an eye on to make sure your training is successful. And that worked quite very well with him. So let's take a look at the pyramid of training. Something we go very much in depth when we work with the participants and in the courses such as that scholar program coming up is really look, where is your horse at in terms of training? And this is not like, okay, I'm done with suppleness and contact, now I'm only up here. It's up and down all the time, constantly. So, and depending on where you want to work on muscles, you go back to different stages of it. So first one, very important, is rhythm. Without proper rhythm, the horse will keep making rhythm mistakes. It will keep tightening up its muscles and will not be able to build it up properly. And really, suppleness is the next step. And that's what we focused with him on the first few months, not even looking for any contact or impulsion. Even later in the riding, we're light with him there. So in detail, how can you prove your rhythm with lunging training is the regularity of the beat in all gaits. So we're talking about 4-tact, walk, 2-trot, tact in a trot, canter, 3-tact. And you want to have that inconsistent movements. Again, you really reach that through proper transitions. And it's about finding the horses in a rhythm. And often that can sometimes be too fast that the horse first. I was with him that case. So I like bring him back, even steps look shorter eventually. And finding a balance between, okay, how much do I want them to reach under versus keeping in their own rhythm is a good one to pay attention to. And what you improve this was lunging is minimum 10-minute walk. They need to have a good rhythm and walk first before you go to any other gait. and then encourage the hind end to really reach under, especially in the walk. And then you can later on work up to that in the trot and in the canter, really have that open canter. And work over pose. Pose is also a good help for them to find good rhythm. From there on, you can then work on suppleness and relaxation, and it kind of goes interchangeable. So, what really means suppleness and relaxation? Here, we're talking about the horse's willingness to work. How does his back swing, or even much more? I always look at the tail. That was a great example with him. Like his tail would be like tucked up, and I'm like, when is this horse going to start having actually swing his tail? Now he's really like super loose and carries it almost like up like an Arabian. And I know we've reached a great stage of suppleness and relaxation. Um, the horse, you want him to mimic the relaxation, and the horse needs to be very loose in transitions. If they still like tighten up, or like let's say a trot canter transition, they keep like lifting up the head all the time. That is not a loose transition. So we haven't found the point of suppleness there. How to improve that with lunging? You can do this gait changes from trot to canter. I went very detailed in those earlier. Lengthen and shortening canter strides, or also trot. That's well done through just transitioning the circle throughout the arena and like moving that circle. And really your goal is the stretching and suppleness and relaxed muscles to reach for your horse. And then you're on a good path to build up that top line. All right. So are you ready to build up your horse's top line with some lunging training? Again, we have many resources online to look more into that. You can always connect with one of the coaches. And then our next activity that we're doing is, I mentioned at the beginning, the Art of Lunging Scholars program. So here the idea is really, we have our master program, which is a super intense program with every week meetings, which is like a lot for people. And kind of the feedback was, we want something that's a bit or more self-study, where we can go through the material a little bit, try and error, but have access to a group and still have like the opportunity to tap a coach and have this accountability with each other with the group. So that's kind of how we came up with this scholar program. We're saying we're choosing a few scholars. You guys can apply to participate. You should be coming with a goal, what you want to reach with your horse. And also a goal like which skills you want to improve for yourselves actually in lunging. That's one thing, is to figure out how to lunge your horse and what it needs. Do I lunge with the cavus on the day? Do I put on sight reins? Am I working on rhythm? Am I working on my transitions? Are you able to actually lunge all of that? So that's where we go back to just kind of fine tune and check in where your skills are at. And it's really fun to see the progress always of the participants. So just a little bit details on what's in the Scholar program. Gain basic skills as a lunger, refresh. For most people, it's always a refresher, and they're like, oh, I've heard about that, but good reminder, a good check-in on like how to hold the whip correctly, how do I use the lunge line, how to roll it up, how to give cues correctly, when do I add voice, do I need a whip or not, and those are great like touch-ups. And you will gain more insights also on the different types of side reins. We are a promoter of side reins if they're applied correctly, especially use the sliding of side reins. In the same manner, we look at the horse, and we have participants that only lunge with the cavus on, because that's just where the horse is right now at and what it needs. So we do set a goal for each horse and really apply it to the situation. And at the end, you walk out with like a personalized training plan for your horse. And we always feel like we're schooling your eye to like really know, okay, this is what the horse needs. Your horse and any other horse, when you start lunging, you have an idea what gaits do I apply, what not, where is the horse at in the training pyramid. So this is a fun process. So for everybody watching this webinar, the team is actually offering some discounts. There is a 15% off for 48 hours. Usually Scholar program is $139. We are starting June 1st, so hurry up. And I will leave this page on for a few minutes longer, so you have the opportunity to scan the QR code. And I'm also going to add the link to the program below. So feel free to comment, to reach out, and if you have any more questions on how to build up Topline, if you want to learn more about the Scholar program, I'm going to be connected with participants that have participated in the past. Anytime, reach out and check in with us. And we are super excited to share more knowledge and promote lunging training. Have a good day. Bye, guys.